West Africa has been home to some of the most powerful and influential civilizations in human history. Long before European exploration and colonization, the region flourished with highly organized empires that dominated trade, governance, culture, and military strategy. Among these, the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai Empires stand out as the greatest examples of West African power, wealth, and intellectual achievements. These empires thrived between the 8th and 16th centuries, creating vast networks of commerce, fostering centers of education, and shaping the cultural identity of the region. Their legacies continue to influence modern West Africa, demonstrating the richness and complexity of African history. Our knowledge of these empires comes from a combination of oral traditions, Arabic chronicles, and archaeological discoveries. West African griots, oral historians, have passed down detailed accounts of rulers, battles, and cultural traditions for generations. Arabic scholars such as al-Bakri, Ibn Battuta, and Leo Africanus provided written records of their travels, describing the grandeur of these civilizations. Archaeological findings, including ancient trade centers, mosques, and artifacts, further validate the historical significance of these empires. By exploring the rise, peak, and decline of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, we can appreciate the enduring influence of West Africa's golden age and its impact on global history. This comparison will not only highlight their achievements, but also challenge the misconceptions about Africa's past, revealing a history of power, innovation, and cultural sophistication. The Ghana Empire, also known as Ouagadougou, was the earliest of the three great West African empires. It emerged around the 4th century CE in present-day southeastern Mauritania and western Mali. The Soninke people, who were skilled traders and warriors, played a crucial role in the empire's foundation. Their ability to control trade routes and organize a centralized government allowed Ghana to flourish. Ghana's wealth was built on the gold and salt trade, which connected West Africa to North Africa and the Middle East. Gold mined from the forests of modern Ghana and Mali was exchanged for salt, which was essential for preserving food. The empire acted as an intermediary, taxing traders who passed through its territory. This wealth allowed the rulers of Ghana to maintain a powerful army and build a strong, centralized government. The political system was hierarchical, with the king viewed as a divine authority. He was the supreme ruler, controlling trade, justice, and religious affairs. A council of advisors and regional governors assisted in administration, ensuring stability across the vast empire. The capital, Kumbi Saleh, became a major trading hub, attracting merchants from North Africa and beyond. By the 11th century, Ghana began to decline due to internal conflicts, overexpansion, and external threats. The Almoravids, a Berber Muslim group from North Africa, launched military campaigns against Ghana around 1076, weakening its power. Additionally, environmental changes, including desertification, made agriculture difficult, further straining the empire's resources. By the early 13th century, Ghana had fragmented into smaller states, paving the way for the rise of Mali. The Mali Empire rose from the remnants of Ghana, founded by Sundiata Keita, a warrior prince of the Mandinka people, Africa. After defeating the Soso kingdom at the Battle of Kirina in 1235, Sundiata established Mali as a dominant power in West Africa. Under his rule, the empire expanded rapidly, incorporating gold-producing regions and vital trade routes. Mali's economy was heavily dependent on gold, salt, and agricultural production. The empire's control over key trade cities, such as Timbuktu and Djenne, strengthened its commercial dominance. The establishment of Niamey as the capital allowed for centralized governance and economic stability. One of Mali's most famous rulers, Mansa Musa, R. 1312–1337, transformed the empire into a global power. He is best known for his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca, Hajj, in 1324, during which he distributed so much gold in Cairo that it devalued the currency for years. Mansa Musa's reign saw the flourishing of Islam, the construction of mosques, and the expansion of education. Timbuktu became a leading center of Islamic learning, home to the Sankore University and thousands of scholars. Despite its wealth and power, Mali began to decline in the late 14th and 15th centuries. Internal struggles over succession, regional rebellions, and external pressures from the Songhai Empire weakened the state. By the late 16th century, Mali had lost most of its influence, and its territories were absorbed by neighboring states. The Songhai Empire originated from the city of Gao, a vital trading center along the Niger River. Although Gao had been a part of the Mali Empire, it gained independence in the early 15th century and grew into a powerful state. Under Sunni Ali, r. 1464 to 1492, Songhai expanded its territory significantly. Sunni Ali conquered Timbuktu, Djenne, and surrounding areas, securing control over trade routes and valuable resources. He strengthened the military with a well-organized army and a river-based naval fleet, making Songhai a formidable force. After Sunni Ali's death, his successor, Askia Muhammad, r. 1493 to 1528, further expanded and centralized the empire. A devout Muslim, Askia reformed the administration by introducing Islamic governance, appointing governors, and enhancing tax collection. He also promoted education, ensuring Timbuktu remained a leading center for Islamic scholarship. Songhai's wealth was based on trade, agriculture, and taxation, with cities like Timbuktu and Gao serving as major commercial and cultural hubs. The empire introduced advanced military strategies, including a professional army and fortified cities, helping to maintain its vast territory. Despite its strength, Songhai fell to the Moroccan invasion of 1591. Equipped with firearms, the Moroccan forces overpowered Songhai's traditional armies. The defeat at the Battle of Tondibi led to the empire's fragmentation, marking the end of West Africa's last great empire. Gold was the most sought-after resource in West Africa, forming the foundation of the region's economic success. West African gold mines, particularly in modern-day Mali and Ghana, supplied a vast quantity of gold to the Mediterranean world, Europe, and the Middle East. Gold dust was commonly used as currency, and rulers tightly controlled its distribution to maintain economic stability. This wealth allowed the empires to finance large armies, construct monumental buildings, and support scholars and artists. Salt, though less glamorous than gold, was equally valuable. It was a vital commodity for food preservation and essential for human survival, especially in the hot and humid regions of West Africa. Since salt was scarce in the region, it was imported from the salt mines of Tagaza and Taudeni in the Sahara. Merchants would trade slabs of salt in exchange for gold, creating a thriving barter economy that sustained the wealth of these empires. The gold and salt trade flourished through an extensive network of camel caravans that crossed the Sahara. These caravans, often led by Berber traders, transported goods between North African ports and West African trading centers. The introduction of the camel, known as the ship of the desert, revolutionized trade by making long-distance commerce more efficient. These caravans carried not only gold and salt, but also textiles, copper, ivory, and slaves, linking West Africa to the broader global economy. Ghana, Mali, and Songhai all recognized the economic benefits of trade and implemented sophisticated taxation systems to generate revenue. Ghana, the earliest of the three empires, controlled trade routes, and imposed taxes on merchants passing through its territory. Every load of goods entering or leaving Ghana was taxed, creating a steady flow of income that strengthened the empire. The king of Ghana maintained a monopoly over gold production, ensuring that only he could possess large gold nuggets while the people used gold dust for transactions. This prevented inflation and preserved the empire's economic stability. Mali continued and expanded upon Ghana's trade policies. Under rulers like Mansa Musa, Mali actively encouraged commerce by investing in infrastructure, security, and governance. The empire ensured that merchants could travel safely along trade routes by stationing military forces along key paths. Mali's markets became bustling centers of trade where goods from across Africa, the Middle East, and Europe were exchanged. The empire's commitment to trade security and economic growth attracted foreign traders, boosting Mali's international prestige. Songhai further refined economic policies by establishing strict trade regulations and introducing a standardized currency system. Unlike its predecessors, Songhai created an efficient bureaucracy to regulate trade, ensuring that merchants paid taxes and followed trade laws. The government also maintained granaries to stabilize food supplies during famines, demonstrating a sophisticated economic management system. The Songhai Empire's commercial strength allowed it to dominate West Africa's trade routes and amass wealth on an unprecedented scale. The economic prosperity of these empires was evident in the rise of major trade cities, each serving as a hub of commerce, culture, and intellectual growth. Timbuktu, Djenne, and Gao were among the most important cities in West Africa, attracting traders, scholars, and artisans from across the world. Timbuktu, situated along the Niger River, became synonymous with wealth and knowledge. It was a melting pot of merchants from the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe, dealing in gold, salt, ivory, and manuscripts. The city was also a center of Islamic learning, home to renowned scholars and the Sankore University. where thousands of students studied subjects ranging from theology to astronomy. Timbuktu's libraries housed vast collections of manuscripts, making it one of the greatest intellectual centers of the medieval world. Djenne, another vital city, was famous for its bustling markets and architectural marvels. The Great Mosque of Djenne, built in the Sudano-Sahelian style, remains one of Africa's most iconic structures. The city was a major commercial hub, where merchants exchanged textiles, pottery, and agricultural products. Its strategic location along trade routes allowed it to thrive as a center of economic and cultural activity. Gao, the capital of the Songhai Empire, played a crucial role in the region's trade network. Positioned at a crossroads of trans-Saharan trade, Gao attracted merchants dealing in gold, salt, and slaves. The city flourished under Songhai rule, becoming not only a commercial center, but also an administrative stronghold. Its prosperity was reflected in its grand palaces, mosques, and bustling marketplaces. The interconnected economies of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai laid the foundation for West Africa's golden age. Their wealth, generated through trade and taxation, allowed them to build powerful states that influenced the region for centuries. These empires transformed West Africa into a center of commerce and learning, leaving a lasting impact on world history. The Ghana Empire had one of the earliest centralized monarchies in West Africa, with the king at the heart of governance. The ruler, often referred to as the Ghana or King of Gold, held absolute authority over the empire. He was considered semi-divine, acting as both a political leader and a religious figure. The Ghanaian king controlled trade, especially the lucrative gold trade, and imposed taxes on merchants passing through the empire. His court was composed of officials and advisors who helped manage the state's affairs, oversee taxation, and mediate disputes. Local chiefs, though subordinate to the king, had a degree of autonomy in governing their territories, ensuring regional stability. However, as internal conflicts and external pressures from the Almoravids weakened Ghana, its governance system failed to adapt, leading to its eventual decline. The Mali Empire refined and expanded upon Ghana's political structures, introducing a more complex system of administration. Sundiata Keita, the legendary founder of Mali, established a centralized yet flexible governance model that allowed regional leaders to retain some authority as long as they remained loyal to the empire. He laid the foundation for a strong empire by securing trade routes and ensuring economic prosperity. However, it was under Mansa Musa, Mali's most famous ruler, that the empire reached its peak. Mansa Musa strengthened the empire's bureaucracy by appointing governors, judges, and military commanders who managed different provinces. His rule was marked by diplomatic engagements, such as his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, which showcased Mali's immense wealth and solidified its international prestige. The administrative structure he developed allowed Mali to maintain stability and expand its influence across West Africa. The Songhai Empire took political administration to an even more sophisticated level under Askia Muhammad. Unlike previous empires, Songhai implemented a highly organized bureaucratic system, with government officials overseeing taxation, trade, military affairs, and religious matters. Askia Muhammad divided the empire into provinces, each governed by a trusted official responsible for maintaining order and collecting taxes. He also established a legal system based on Islamic principles, ensuring that laws were applied uniformly across the empire. This bureaucratic governance made Songhai one of the most efficiently administered states in African history. However, despite its strength, political instability and succession struggles weakened the empire, making it vulnerable to the Moroccan invasion in 1591. Each empire developed distinct military strategies to protect its territory and expand its influence. The Ghana Empire relied on a professional and well-equipped army to safeguard trade routes and maintain control over its vast lands. Ghanaian warriors were known for their expertise in using iron weapons, giving them a technological advantage over rival groups. The king maintained a standing army, supported by regional militias when needed. However, Ghana's military power weakened over time due to repeated conflicts with the Almoravids, leading to its decline. The Mali Empire combined military strength with diplomacy to expand its territory. Sundiata Keita, often referred to as the Lion King, led a powerful army that defeated the Soso Kingdom at the Battle of Kirina, 1235 CE, establishing Mali as a dominant force. Mali's military was renowned for its strong cavalry, which allowed swift and decisive attacks against enemies. The empire also used diplomacy to integrate conquered territories, offering local rulers positions in the administration rather than eliminating them. This approach fostered stability and loyalty among newly acquired lands. The Songhai Empire developed one of the most advanced military systems in West Africa. Under Sunni Ali, Songhai's army became a formidable force, using both naval and land military innovations to expand its territory. Sunni Ali established a riverine navy, using war canoes to control trade along the Niger River, a strategy that gave Songhai a significant advantage over its rivals. His successor, Askia Muhammad, further improved military organization by creating specialized divisions within the army, ensuring efficient command structures. Songhai's disciplined and professional military made it the most powerful empire in West Africa. But its defeat at the hands of Moroccan forces, armed with gunpowder weapons in 1591, marked the end of its dominance. Islam played an increasingly significant role in the governance of these empires, shaping laws, diplomacy, and administration. While the Ghana Empire was initially animist, it gradually adopted Islam due to interactions with Muslim traders from North Africa. However, the ruling elite did not fully embrace Islam, choosing instead to blend traditional beliefs with Islamic customs. The Almoravid invasion in the 11th century intensified the influence of Islam in the region. But Ghana's rulers resisted full conversion, leading to internal conflicts. The Mali Empire, on the other hand, fully embraced Islam under Mansa Musa, who promoted Islamic scholarship, built mosques, and established Sharia-based legal systems. His pilgrimage to Mecca not only solidified Mali's status as a wealthy and influential empire, but also strengthened its ties with the Islamic world. Mansa Musa invited scholars, architects, and religious leaders from North Africa and the Middle East, transforming cities like Timbuktu into major centers of Islamic learning. The presence of Islamic advisors in Mali's court helped shape diplomatic relations with neighboring Muslim states, ensuring Mali's integration into the global Islamic economy. The Songhai Empire took the Islamization of governance even further under Askia Muhammad, who implemented a strict Islamic legal system. He appointed qadis, judges, and imams to oversee legal matters, ensuring that justice was administered according to Islamic principles. He also established diplomatic relations with the Ottoman Empire and other Muslim states, reinforcing Songhai's place in the Islamic world. The influence of Islamic scholars in Songhai's administration led to the development of Timbuktu as an international center of learning, where thousands of students studied law, astronomy, medicine, and theology. Despite the deep integration of Islam into governance, these empires maintained a level of religious tolerance. Traditional African beliefs continued to thrive alongside Islam, with many communities practicing a syncretic blend of Islamic and indigenous spiritual traditions. This balance helped maintain social cohesion, allowing diverse ethnic and religious groups to coexist within the vast territories of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. The Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires made distinct contributions to the cultural landscape of West Africa. Their artistic and architectural achievements not only reflected the values and beliefs of their societies, but also established enduring legacies that are still visible today. The Ghana Empire, though it did not leave behind grand monuments like its successors, produced significant artistic works in terms of craftsmanship. Traditional crafts, including jewelry, pottery, and textiles, were highly valued, and the Ghanaian people were skilled in working with materials such as gold and iron. The art of goldsmithing, in particular, became a hallmark of Ghanaian culture, as gold was the empire's primary wealth source. Ghana's kings and elites often adorned themselves with intricate gold jewelry, which became a symbol of power and prosperity. In contrast, the Mali Empire is renowned for its Islamic architecture, particularly the grand mosques and monumental buildings constructed under the rule of Mansa Musa. The Djenne Tribal Mosque in Timbuktu is one of the most famous examples of Malian Islamic architecture, blending traditional West African building techniques with Islamic design elements. This mosque, built in the 14th century, is not only a place of worship, but also a symbol of Mali's wealth, cultural achievements, and commitment to Islamic scholarship. Mansa Musa's influence helped to transform cities like Timbuktu, Djenne, and Niani into vibrant centers of Islamic learning, with buildings and mosques serving as the backdrop for intellectual exchange and religious practice. The Songhai Empire made significant contributions to literature and manuscript preservation. Songhai scholars were known for their work in preserving ancient texts, often copying and translating manuscripts from the Islamic world, including those on medicine, mathematics, law, and astronomy. The Royal Library of Timbuktu, one of the most famous repositories of knowledge, housed thousands of manuscripts, many of which were written in Arabic. These manuscripts represented not only the knowledge of the Islamic world, but also West African contributions to philosophy, science, and history. While Songhai's architecture was less renowned than that of Mali, its emphasis on literature and scholarly endeavors made a lasting impact on the intellectual history of the region. West Africa's empires were deeply invested in education, particularly the development of Islamic scholarship. The rise of centers of learning such as Timbuktu and Sankore University established these empires as intellectual hubs, not only for Africa, but for the wider Islamic world. Timbuktu, under the Mali and Songhai Empires, became a major center of Islamic learning. The city was home to an array of schools, libraries, and mosques, where scholars and students gathered to engage in religious studies, philosophy, mathematics, and natural sciences. The University of Sankore in Timbuktu was one of the most renowned institutions in the medieval world. Scholars at Sankore University were revered for their expertise in Islamic law, history, and philosophy, and the university became a focal point for intellectual exchanges between North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. The role of traveling scholars and traders was essential to the intellectual vibrancy of Timbuktu. As merchants from the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe passed through the city, they brought with them new ideas, scientific knowledge, and religious texts. These interactions allowed Timbuktu to remain at the forefront of intellectual and academic development in the medieval world. Scholars such as Ahmed Baba, a prominent historian, and Musa Kamara, a mathematician, helped to solidify the city's reputation as a center for global scholarship. The impact of Malian and Songhai scholars on global intellectual traditions is profound. Their contributions to Islamic scholarship, particularly in the fields of law and theology, had far-reaching consequences on both the Islamic world and European scholarship. The transmission of knowledge in subjects like astronomy, medicine, and mathematics from West Africa to other parts of the world, particularly Europe, laid the groundwork for the Renaissance. The religious and cultural practices of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai were diverse, reflecting both indigenous African traditions and the influence of Islam. The spread of Islam through trade and conquest brought significant changes to the religious landscape of the region, but these empires also retained elements of traditional African beliefs. In the Ghana Empire, religious syncretism was prevalent. While the ruling elite and many of the urban dwellers embraced Islam, the majority of the population retained traditional animist beliefs. Religious practices in Ghana involved reverence for the spirits of ancestors and nature, and these beliefs were often incorporated alongside Islamic practices. The king, though officially a Muslim, maintained traditional rites and ceremonies, blending Islamic and indigenous customs. This syncretism helped to maintain harmony within the diverse population of Ghana, though it also posed challenges when confronted by the Almoravid invaders, who sought to impose orthodox Islamic rule. The Mali Empire experienced what is often described as an Islamic golden age under Mansa Musa. Islam became the state religion, and Mansa Musa's reign saw the flourishing of Islamic art, architecture, and education. The Islamic faith permeated both public and private life, with Mansa Musa himself becoming a prominent patron of Islamic scholarship. His famous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 not only demonstrated the empire's wealth, but also solidified Mali's position as a key player in the Islamic world. Islamic principles guided legal systems, trade practices, and education, and many of Mali's intellectuals and scholars became highly respected throughout the Islamic world. Similarly, Songhai was heavily influenced by Islam, particularly during the reign of Askia Muhammad, who implemented Islamic governance and law across the empire. Askia Muhammad enforced the principles of Sharia law, establishing a legal system based on Islamic teachings, which helped to integrate Songhai into the broader Islamic world. Songhai's religious and cultural practices reflected a strict adherence to Islamic doctrine, but like the other empires, there were also elements of indigenous African traditions that persisted. In all three empires, Islam did not completely replace indigenous spiritual practices. Rather, it merged with them to create syncretic religious traditions. This blending of beliefs allowed these empires to maintain their cultural integrity while also engaging with broader Islamic civilization. This religious fusion created unique cultural identities that reflected both African and Islamic heritage, a legacy that continues to shape the cultural landscape of West Africa today. One of the primary reasons for the decline of these empires was internal conflicts and civil wars, often triggered by struggles over succession, weakened governance, and local disputes. For the Ghana Empire, internal strife played a significant role in its downfall. After the empire reached its peak around the 10th century, the centralized monarchy, which had once unified the vast territories under the rule of a single king, began to experience instability. Succession struggles and disputes between royal family members often led to periods of political fragmentation. Local leaders, seeing an opportunity to assert their own power, sometimes rebelled against the central authority. Additionally, the internal division between Muslim and non-Muslim factions within the empire weakened its unity, making it vulnerable to external threats. Similarly, in the Mali Empire, although it reached a golden age under Mansa Musa, succession crises and a lack of strong leadership in the following decades contributed to the empire's decline. Rebellions from provincial rulers and the weakening of the central authority following Mansa Musa's death led to the gradual disintegration of the empire. The failure to maintain unity among the different regions also resulted in the loss of key trade routes, diminishing Mali's economic power. The Songhai Empire, the last of the three to rise, also faced similar issues. Following the reign of Askia Muhammad, who had established a strong centralized government, the empire saw a weakening of authority due to internal struggles over succession. The civil war that followed his death in 1538 divided the empire and weakened its political and military power, making it more vulnerable to external threats. While internal conflicts played a role in the decline of these empires, external threats were also significant factors that hastened their downfall. The Almoravid invasion in the 11th century had a profound impact on the Ghana Empire. The Almoravids, a Berber Muslim dynasty from North Africa, invaded Ghana with the aim of spreading Islam and controlling the empire's lucrative gold trade. The invasion weakened the Ghanaian state, leading to the eventual collapse of the empire by the 12th century. The Almoravids' influence, along with their military incursions, devastated the Ghana Empire, forcing it to lose control over its former territories and trade routes. The Moroccan invasion in 1591 significantly affected the Songhai Empire. The Moroccan forces, equipped with firearms and modern military technology, defeated the Songhai army at the Battle of Tondibi, marking the fall of Songhai. The Moroccan conquest of Timbuktu and Gao resulted in the destabilization of the empire, and the loss of these key trade cities dramatically diminished Songhai's economic and military power. Though the Songhai Empire was already weakened by internal conflicts, the Moroccan invasion marked the definitive end of its dominance in the region. In addition to these invasions, the arrival of Europeans on the West African coast in the 15th and 16th centuries had a profound effect on the region's trade dynamics. As European powers established their presence along the Atlantic coast, they began to shift the focus of trade away from the Saharan trade routes that had once been central to the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires. The rise of the transatlantic slave trade and the growth of European maritime power redirected West African trade, undermining the traditional empires that had flourished along the Saharan routes. This shift in trade patterns further weakened the economic foundations of the once great empires and contributed to their decline. Despite their eventual decline, the legacies of the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires continue to influence modern West Africa in profound ways, particularly in terms of cultural, linguistic, and architectural contributions. Culturally, the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires shaped the identity of modern West African nations. The spread of Islam throughout these empires has left a lasting impact on religious practices in the region. Today, Islam is a dominant religion in many West African countries, particularly in the Sahel region, where the legacy of the empires is still felt. Additionally, many of the languages spoken in modern West Africa, such as Soninke, Mande, and Songhai, are direct descendants of the languages spoken in these empires, providing a cultural bridge between the past and the present. The architectural achievements of these empires, particularly in cities like Timbuktu, Djenne, and Gao, have left lasting physical markers of their grandeur. The famous Djinguereber Mosque in Timbuktu and the Great Mosque of Djenne are still regarded as some of the finest examples of traditional West African Islamic architecture, showcasing the region's historical commitment to learning and religious devotion. These architectural landmarks continue to attract scholars, tourists, and historians, serving as symbols of the rich cultural heritage of the region. Moreover, the intellectual legacy of the Mali and Songhai empires, particularly in the fields of education and literature, still resonates today. Timbuktu's libraries, which once housed thousands of manuscripts, have been recognized as some of the earliest centers of knowledge in the world. The intellectual traditions that flourished in these cities contributed significantly to the development of Islamic scholarship and have had a lasting influence on the global intellectual heritage. The impact of the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires on the African identity and historical narratives is also undeniable. These empires represented a period of African excellence, challenging the historical narrative that often downplays the achievements of African civilizations. Today, the histories of these empires are an important part of West Africa's collective identity and are celebrated as a source of pride and inspiration. The Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires were monumental in shaping the history of West Africa and, by extension, the world. Though each empire had unique characteristics, there were significant similarities that defined their collective impact on global history. All three empires flourished due to their strategic control of the trans-Saharan trade routes, with gold and salt as the key commodities driving their wealth. The political and military systems of these empires were highly organized, with centralized monarchies that wielded significant power, often with the king regarded as a divine figure. Each empire also experienced periods of economic prosperity, with their influence extending beyond West Africa to the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. In reflecting on how these ancient empires shaped modern Africa, it becomes clear that their influence persists in the cultural traditions, religious practices, and trade connections of the region today. The modern nations of West Africa, while facing new challenges, still carry the imprint of the remarkable achievements of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. From their architectural monuments to the ongoing influence of Islamic education, these empires have contributed to the identity and pride of modern Africa. Their legacies remind us that Africa has always been a powerful center of innovation, culture, and commerce in the world.